If your house was on fire and you could take only one thing, what would it be?
This is a chunk of the Berlin Wall, and this is a smaller chunk of the wall. I gave this to my dad for Christmas in 1989, a few weeks after the wall came down. This gift I gave him is probably the most priceless thing I inherited from him because of what it meant to him, and because of what that meant to him.
My dad was born in 1933, the year Franklin Roosevelt became president, and this guy came to power in Germany. Dad grew up during history's most extraordinary conflict, and he would serve in the Cold War that followed. Dad was born in one log cabin, raised in another. He never slept in a building without dirt floors until the Air Force put him in a hotel the night before basic training. He served in the Strategic Air Command for 4 years, guiding B-47s armed with hydrogen bombs to refuel mid-air with KC-97s, practicing for a war that never came. His job was so critical that he would remain at his position with 3 or 4 other men until it was clear they were targeted. If they were lucky, they'd evacuate on a C-47 before Russian nukes hit their base. But more likely, they'd stay on their radios, teenagers getting B-47s over Russian targets and back home until they died at their stations. I found this in a shop in Boston a week before Christmas, 1989. It was just a few weeks after the Berlin Wall came down. Communism was falling, the Cold War was melting. My dad's generation, who had faced down the Soviets, had finally won the war they fought as teenagers.
I walked past him as Dad was sipping coffee in his kitchen chair that Christmas night. He looked up and said, "I spent 4 years of my life for this little piece of concrete." He held it close to his heart. 4 years of my life, he repeated. It was one of only 2 times I ever saw my dad cry.
My father's VA-issued gravestone says he was a Korean War-era veteran, but he always called himself a cold warrior.
I've always had this plan. If there's ever a fire in my house, or a tornado or hurricane, or a nuclear blast, I've always had a plan to make sure that this little piece of concrete is the first inanimate object I save. I'm Tex Turner. I've got a lot of stories for you, largely because of men like Buddy Neil Turner. Stay tuned.